All right, everyone, welcome. Today, we are going to unravel the incredible stories that are literally woven into the fabrics of Southeast Asian cultures. We're going to see how these textiles are so much more than just clothes. They're a language, a history book, and a bridge to the spiritual world.
So let me just start with a question. What if a piece of cloth could tell the story of your ancestors, protect you from evil spirits, and even chart your journey into the afterlife? It sounds like something out of a fantasy novel, right? But for thousands of years, this is exactly what textiles have been doing in Southeast Asia.
So here's our game plan. We'll go from the simplest raw materials to their deepest, most profound meanings. We'll kick things off with the fibers themselves, then learn how to read their woven language. After that, we'll get into their role in major life rituals, see how they connect with the spirit world, and finally, look at how this amazing legacy is still alive today. Let's dive in.
Okay, so let's start at the very beginning, at the foundation of it all. We're talking about the incredible materials that nature itself provided.
You can really see the evolution right here. On the left, you've got one of the earliest forms of clothing you can imagine, simple, unprocessed leaf skirts. But then, look to the right. That is a massive technological leap. That's felted bark cloth. It's a technique of soaking and literally beating tree bark into a non-woven fabric, and it goes all the way back to the Neolithic period, the New Stone Age.
And what's just fascinating, especially from a material science perspective, is how versatile this stuff was. This wasn't just some crude covering. They could process it to be tough enough to serve as armor for Dayak warriors, or they could make it delicate and almost paper-thin for the most sacred rituals.
And its use went way beyond just clothing. Because of its unique properties and its ancient, almost sacred origins, bark cloth was often the go-to material for things like sacred manuscripts, protective cloths for the dead, and even scrolls used in magical healing practices.
Okay, so now that we've got the material down, let's build on that. Let's move from the fabric itself to the powerful visual language that's woven right into it.
You have to understand, these patterns are so much more than just pretty designs. It is absolutely crucial to see them as a direct, unbroken line that connects the person weaving today to their most distant, prehistoric ancestors. This is history you can touch.
And this shawl, it's the perfect example. See those spirals and hooks that are so central to the design? Well, those are the exact same motifs you'll find on 3,000-year-old pottery from the Bonshang culture in the same area. I mean, that kind of continuity is just astounding.
Now here's the key thing. This language isn't universal. It's not like a simple triangle means the same thing everywhere. Not at all. For the Ifugao, it's all about agriculture. It could be rice sheaves. But for the Ebagan people in Borneo, those exact same sharp points are all about protection. They represent daggers or teeth. Context, you guys, is everything.
And you'll often see this specific color palette, red, black, and white. These three fundamental colors often form the basis for the most sacred and ancient textiles. Just the combination of them carries its own deep symbolic meaning across a lot of different cultures in the region.
So now we get to the big why. This is where we see how these incredible fabrics are woven into the most critical moments of life, from birth all the way to death, and even what comes after.
This quote really nails it. Textiles play a huge role, an especially vital one, in funerals. Funerals are seen as maybe the most important and dangerous transition stage in a person's entire existence. Just look at the sheer amount of fabric on display here. This is about so much more than just covering the body. This is about honoring the dead, sure, but it's also about broadcasting the family's wealth and social power, and, most importantly, it's believed to provide powerful spiritual protection for the soul on its dangerous journey to the afterlife.
Look at this. This is such a powerful image. The patterns on his skin are mirrored in the patterns on his cloth. This connection between tattooing and textiles is actually really common across the region. They're both seen as forms of body art, yeah, but they're also permanent markers of who you are and what you've achieved ritually.
These cloths are basically wearable resumes. I mean, the Sumba cloth is a visual record of the wearer's power and status. That undung motif, that's a direct reference to headhunting success. It's a very clear signal to everyone about the owner's formidable place in society.
Now, moving beyond just human rituals, textiles are also seen as a vital way to communicate with the spirit world, a real, tangible bridge between our world and the supernatural.
Think about that. If the very act of weaving is seen as a gift from the gods, then creating and using these textiles becomes a sacred responsibility. It's a way to keep the cosmos in balance, to please the deities, and to ask for protection from a world full of unseen forces.
So if making these textiles is literally a way to channel spiritual power, how do you protect that process? Well, the creation of these powerful objects becomes a ritual in itself, one that's often seen as spiritually dangerous and is surrounded by all kinds of secrecy. And weavers believe that if you break these rules or give away secrets, the consequences can be really bad. It might just mean the precious dyes don't work, or it could be much worse. It could bring on sickness, miscarriage, or even madness. So every single step, from making offerings to keeping certain people away, was designed to protect that delicate spiritual balance needed for success.
Okay, for our final section, let's look at how remarkably persistent these traditions are. I mean, how have these ancient arts managed to survive in our fast-paced, modern world?
And this really brings us to a core idea for today's lesson, the absolutely remarkable continuity of this art form. I mean, think about it. After thousands of years of global trade, migration, colonization, and new technologies, the basic building blocks, the materials, the techniques, the motifs are still powerfully there.
And this piece shows exactly how they did it. Southeast Asian weavers were masters of adaptation. They didn't just reject new ideas from the outside. No, they absorbed them and reinterpreted them within their own ancient symbolic systems. So here you have these ancient Ship of the Dead motifs, which are essential for carrying souls to the next world, blended with the luxurious gold thread you'd find in the later Indianized quartz. It didn't weaken the meaning. It made it richer, and that's how it survived.
So this incredible, enduring legacy really challenges us to look differently at the things we make and wear. They aren't just objects. They carry culture, they carry identity, they carry belief, and that forces us, as students of this field, to ask a pretty big question. What stories and what deep meanings are being woven into the fabrics of our own time?